This is George Dionne with Metal Express Radio. I'm here with Michael Sweet from Stryper. How you doing today, Michael?
I am doing well. It's a beautiful day outside. I'm still waking up. I feel good. My back doesn't hurt as much. Stryper just finished their project, so the guys went home. There's a little more quiet peace here. It's nice.
So I ask everybody the same first question. If I knew absolutely nothing about Stryper, how would you describe your music to me?
Oh, man. Stryper is certainly a metal band. We get tagged the glam rock or glam metal band, I think, because of the old hair days. But we're a hard rock metal band from Orange County, California. And our roots tie back and are certainly similar to bands like Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Van Halen. You know, we grew up on all that stuff. So you might hear bits and pieces of that in our music. And then we're all about like vocals, you know, big background vocals. We love the Beach Boys and Queen and bands that had those infamous background vocals. And then we love twin harmony guitars. We grew up on Thin Lizzy, you know, and Judas Priest. And we love dual leads and two guitar showcases. So that's pretty much what we are.
That sounds pretty accurate to me.
Yeah. And then, of course, the message. You know, we've been delivering a different message for 36 years. Unlike any other secular rock metal band out there, we've been proclaiming Christ and really trying to inspire people through our lyrics, you know, instead of giving them Satan, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, we're giving them something different, something hopeful.
Do you think that today it's difficult to deliver that message because the world seems to be pulling away from Christ? Not to get too deep.
Yeah. I think it's difficult, but I don't know if it's any more difficult than it's always been.
Okay.
We've always come up against, you know, hurdles and pitfalls, so to speak, and we've had a difficult time getting the message out there the way we want to get it out there and reaching the people that we want to reach. And you know, I always tell the story, but it's so true. It's very frustrating when our albums are at the back of the store. It feels like there's been limitations put on us due to the fact that we sing about Christ, you know, and that no regrets. We wouldn't change a thing, but Christ is not popular in this world. You know, there are many Christians, but there are probably more people that hate Christ or hate Christianity or, you know, are offended by it. And we live in a world that's so easily offended, a very PC world these days. And it's very interesting because you see people fighting for their rights, yet I feel many times Christians don't have a lot of rights. You know, they're the ones that are pretty much made fun of most of the time.
Right. And it kind of seems in the world today, well, versus maybe 20, 30 years ago, you could be a Christian and people were cool with it. And today it's sort of, you're a Christian and now that's something bad to certain groups or stuff like that.
Exactly. And it's interesting because those same people that are fighting for their rights and want everyone to be accepted, you know, often do not accept Christianity or people that are Christians. And it's a double standard so often. And it's pretty sad because, you know, if we're going to accept everyone, let's accept everyone. Everybody accept everyone. But, you know, it's never going to be that way. But it doesn't change who we are or what we do. We're still going to keep doing what we've done for 36 years until we can't do it anymore. You know, right. maybe due to COVID, that day is around the corner. Maybe it's here almost. We'll see.
Well, let's talk about the new album. It comes out next week. Even the Devil Believes.
Yes.
And you wrote it during the pandemic. Do the songs address what we're going through in the pandemic?
You know, I want to just address that rumor. It somehow has gotten a little misinterpreted and misunderstood in the sense that people think it was written during the pandemic. It was actually written in December of 2019.
Okay.
Pre-pandemic. And then we started recording it in January. That's right when we started hearing about the situation in China. And then as we went further along into the recording by late January, we started hearing about the first cases here in the U.S. things started really taking off. By the time we got home from Mexico in February, into February, we were almost in lockdown mode. So I started singing the album during the pandemic, but we just beat it prior when we started on the album, coincidentally and oddly enough, and thankfully enough. I mean, we're very happy that we were able to get in and start on it before the pandemic hit, because most likely we would not have been able to record the album. We would have had to put it off, and I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you about it.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about the first single, Make Love Great Again.
Yes. The first single was Blood from Above. I don't know if you heard that. I don't know if you heard
I've heard both of them.
Okay.
Both of them.
So that was the first song. We thought it would be great to release something that was really upbeat and fast and in your face and kind of like, okay, wake up call here. And that's why we went with Blood from Above, one of my favorite songs on the album. Then we follow up to that, a song called Make Love. A lot of people instantly thought that it was a tie to President Trump, because of the Make America Great Again slogan we all see. And it really isn't. It's a spin on words, but, it's no affiliation to that at all. It's just, it's a true statement that we need to make love great again. We need to let love rule. We need to let love be our priority and put that first as a human race worldwide in our day-to-day lives. We really need to let love shine, and some people just don't have that capability. They're so hateful, and they were raised to be hateful, and they most likely have a more difficult time changing and doing so. But man, we thought we'd write a song that would really get that message out there and encourage people to do that. And then now we're soon to release our third single and our first music video from the album. It comes out on release day, September 4th, and it's called Do Unto Others. And man, it's powerful. It is so powerful. The imagery, the video itself, the editing, the music, the song, the lyrics, everything is so powerful, so relevant. And, I hope people listen to it. I hope people watch it and spread it and share it. And it really gets out there for the world to see.
Are there any other songs that you're particularly proud of from this album? I mean, obviously all of them, but.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there are always those songs on the album that I repeat more often than others. And there are always those songs that I don't really play that often compared to the others. The ones that I repeat a lot are songs like Do Unto Others, Blood from Above, Divider, which is going to be eventually coming out as a music video as well. And we had the fans sing on that when we did the fan weekend. So that's really cool. Great feeling song, powerful, up-tempo. And then there's a song on the album called How to Fly. It's very mid-tempo, almost like a cross between Stryper meets Collective Soul, some Beatles thrown in there. It's got a different feel to it. I love the song, one of my favorites for sure. And then I also love the ballad, This I Pray. That's a co-write with a local legend by the name of Livio Gravini and his fiance, Lisa Marie Grenia. And man, I'm really excited for people to hear the whole album because it really takes you on quite an amazing journey and quite an amazing ride. It's very heavy, but yet it's very melodic. There's a song on there that was written back in 1989 called Imitation Only that got dusted off. It never got finished back in those times. Almost made the Against the Law album, but didn't. So I thought it'd be great to put it on this album. So for all those people who keep saying, man, I wish they'd do something that's more of an 80s sound, this song is literally from the 80s. So it's going to be interesting to see what people say about that.
On that particular note that people say, I wish you would do a more 80s sound. You've actually made more music after the 80s than you did in the 80s.
We have. And it's really interesting because when I hear those kinds of comments, I'm missing something. There's something I'm missing because I hear a lot of 80s influence in our music still.
Yeah.
It's just heavier. It's modernized a little bit, for sure. But it still has a lot of those qualities that you would have heard in 86, 87, 88, 89. the twin guitars, the high octane vocals, the big vocal spreads, the style of songwriting. I mean, I'm not sure what people mean by that when they say that. I'm missing the boat on that one, man. I don't understand it.
It probably has something to do with production, because I mean, you listen to an old '80s album, everything's kind of low end, and now today everything's turned up.
Everything's turned up, and we've been really trying hard, especially with the last two releases, with Goddamn Evil and with this release. We have a guy mastering by the name of Alex Saltz, and we've gotten out of the loud wars. Okay, yeah. So everything is still turned up compared to the past. You don't want to have someone listening to their Stryper playlist, and To Hell with the Devil comes on and plays, and then a new song comes on and it's literally 10 dB hotter, and that may happen from time to time. So we try hard to keep them somewhat matched, but at the same time, we don't want to oversaturate, overcompress. You lose all your transients, you lose the dynamics, you lose the punch. There's right. No question about it. It starts to sound grainy and distorted. We really tried specifically not to do that on the last album and on this album. They're a little lower in level than Fallen and No More Hell to Pay, without question.
So this is the first album with Percy Richardson. So what did he bring to the table on this album?
Oh, man. Well, Perry, first of all, brought a really great spirit to the table. He comes in the room with a smile. And he enjoys what he's doing. He's happy to be there. He's grateful to be there. And he's a team player, and he's loving it. And we missed that. We really missed that. And now we have that again. And we're very, very, thankful for that. He also brings an incredible talent ability to the table in terms of bass playing and vocal ability. Perry's singing with us on these background vocals on the new album. On the past albums, it was just Oz and I, or we'd bring in Charles Foley on occasion. But for the most part, most of the time, it was just Oz and I. And the reason for that, the reason for that is because Oz and I are able to lock in together much faster and get the job done much faster and ultimately sound better. Perry can really lock in with us as well. He's got great pitch and great sensibility in terms of knowing how to lock in and where to start, where to end, how to sing a line, how to sing it properly, and how to sing it in tune.
Are you guys going to be able to tour on this, or is that pretty much...
We don't know.
Up in flames?
I think for the most part right now, it's postponed. It's not happening, at least this year.
Right.
Hopefully next year, but, there's talk of the possibilities of next year not even happening as well. Regarding larger shows. Right. So we'll see, man. I mean, we don't know. Nobody knows the future. Nobody has a crystal ball and can look into the future, but we're hoping and praying that we can get out there next year and really hit the ground running and do some touring and some shows, lots of shows.
Have you explored maybe a drive-in show or an online thing?
We have. We talked about an actual drive-in tour. But then, the more we thought about it, the more we thought, well, how's that really going to go over? Seeing footage and images of drive-in shows, and it's cool that people are able to make that work, but yet it's very odd. Very odd. It's not the true way you want to experience a rock show. Sitting on the roof of your car or in the trunk of your car, distanced, and not being able to really experience that high level of excitement when they're the crowd. You're in the crowd and you're all rocking and everybody's together in unison. It's just, there's no feeling like that in the world. But, you got to applaud the people who are doing it and are successful doing so. It's pretty cool.
I agree to some extent. It's not the same in that retrospect.
Yep.
You released your 10th solo album less than a year ago. It was called 10. And how do you decide on the material you write for yourself versus material you write for Stryper?
I don't really think about it. I just start writing an album, and whatever comes out that I like, that's good, I go with that. I don't
Okay.
sit down. I don't sit down with a board in a board meeting or even by myself and think, okay, so I got to do this on the solo, and I can't do that, and can't do this on Stryper, and because that sounds solo. And I just do what comes from the heart with each record. You know,
Okay.
there's a few songs on this album people are probably going to say sound like more like a solo project on the new
Right.
Stryper album. I can hear it now, and I can tell you which songs. I won't do that, but I can guarantee you, I already know in my head, people are going to say, oh, this sounds more like a solo song. And again, that's a mystery to me too, because, you know, there are so many songs in the past that I wrote on my own. And, you know, there's no real definition for Stryper versus solo. Just, you know, I write most of the material and I just write in the moment. And if it sounds a little different, I guess people think that's more solo. But there's a lot of Stryper songs that have a very different feel to them as well. So I don't understand how that works, but hey, it works.
All right. So is the Sweet Lynch project put to bed at this point?
It was put to bed. We are talking right now about doing another project together. The issue was, you know, the budgets and the cost of doing it right. I didn't want to compromise that. I produced the first two. And in order for me to produce an album, I do things a certain way. I don't want to cut corners and compromise any quality. So these days, budgets have dropped somewhat across the board. And it makes it a little bit more difficult for guys like me to get stuff done at the price that a lot of labels expect you to get it done for. But that being said, I think we may have come to terms on a new album. I just talked to George 2 days ago. Okay. And we're going back and forth with the label, and it looks like we're going to do a third Sweet and Lynch album. It wouldn't take place till next year, probably a springtime. We'd start on it, and it probably wouldn't come out till the end of the year. But I can assure people that there's going to be a new Sweet Lynch album.
Is it going to be based on the same concept you had discussed earlier, where George would take one side of the argument and you'd take the other side of the argument?
No.
Okay.
No. Okay. I think George wants it to be that way, but it won't happen that way. Yeah. You know, if I'm singing the lyrics, I've got to be able to sing those lyrics with conviction and feel comfortable doing so. Yeah. I can't just go sing any lyric and feel comfortable. And I think someone on the other side of the fence would feel the same way. You know, a Satanist might have a little problem singing lyrics about Jesus. Right. You know, so I want to make sure that the lyrics I'm able to believe what I'm singing and sing it with passion and conviction. And I'll be writing the lyrics on this one and the melodies. George will be writing most of the music. I'm going to submit some riffs for him to kind of merge and move upon. And we're going to do this, and it's going to be cool. And we're going to really try to make it more similar to the first album. The first album was a little bit more AOR, melodic rock, metal. The second album was a little more experimental, little bit. There was some darker stuff. There was some, song like Walk was a 6.5 minute song that had like Queen and, all sorts of different things thrown in the mix. We're going to try to keep it very straight ahead, like the first album, and give people what they're wanting, because that album seemed to be more popular amongst the fans.
Right. You recently said that you hope that Spotify went out of business because of the way that they've been treating artists. And I wanted to ask you, is Spotify a place where you have to put your music?
No, you don't have to put your music up. I mean, we put our music up on Spotify because we've been kind of encouraged to do so.
Okay.
By people in our camp and other people and whatnot, labels. I'm not a fan of Spotify. I don't know anyone at Spotify, anyone on the board, or it's not to be disrespectful to them or right. to say something nasty about their business, but I'm just not a fan. and for many reasons. And I'm not a fan of downloads. The thing I hate about it is it's disheartening when you go and spend 3 months of your life working so hard on an album and you release it, and then it goes up on iTunes and people download 3 songs.
Right.
And you can literally see which songs have been downloaded more, right, and which songs have been downloaded less. The album is the artwork and the piece of art, not the songs individually or on their own. So we want people to listen to the whole album. It's like reading a book. You just take 2 chapters and you leave the other 49. Or right, watching a movie, you just watch 15 minutes of it, the best scenes, and then you leave the rest. That's what's happened with albums. And it breaks my heart. It's unfortunate. And then with Spotify, the same thing happens on Spotify. People will only take particular songs and put those in there on their playlist. And then you add the other side of the coin to that the artists, the bands, the people that write the songs and make it happen don't get paid properly from the streaming, format.
Right. Well, I think you guys have some great vinyl packages for this new album. I was checking those out. Those look cool. And vinyl seems to be making sort of a comeback. I think the only downside of vinyl is nobody's pushing good record players.
Well, yeah, exactly. Vinyl has made a comeback to a degree. Still not like the old days.
Right.
Back in the old days, we would move 100,000 vinyl.
Right.
Now you're very fortunate to move 1,000 vinyl. So it's more of a throwback, collectible mentality. Like, hey, I'm going to collect that. Some people buy them and don't even play them. But you know what? It's still cool. I'm so thankful that people are buying vinyl, and now people are even buying cassettes.
I know.
There's this new thing with cassettes. I don't know if it's short-lived or what, but I did it on the 10 album. We manufactured cassettes for everybody. Kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about today?
Man, I just want to thank you for talking to me and taking the time. And maybe we'll have a cup of coffee someday. We're literally 15 minutes from each other.
Absolutely, we are. It's crazy how close we are.